Hello Orchid friends, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching my video, my channel is all about orchids. From what orchids I have, how I grow them, my thoughts on certain orchid topics, to what orchids in my collection are blooming, etc. So if you want to follow along my orchid hobby adventure, please consider subscribing to my channel and turn on the notification. Today in this video, we're going to look at another Phalaenopsis golden pixie in my collection. This one is the second one of the second batch, and I got this one after I moved to the southern portion of the United States. And this one is a fragrant orchid, but today we're going to talk a little bit about how I water this orchid and the kind of general care that I provide to this orchid type. This orchid is a sequential bloomer, so I usually leave the orchid spikes I just leave them alone unless they start to turn yellow and die. And then I would trim it, but otherwise I leave them be because they would elongate at the end of the spike. They'll elongate and continue to grow more buds. This orchid did give me a new flower spike from the base, and then on its existing spike, it put out another secondary spike, and I think that spike has 3 buds, as you can see here. One of its original spikes started to yellow, and that one is a small one, a short one with another branch, and that one died back, so I went ahead and cut it off. But this one, the older spike had, elongated at the end of it, and then in the middle of its spike, it continued to put out a secondary spike with 3 buds, which is what you're seeing here. And then at the base, like I said, it had another new spike, brand new spike coming out, so that was really, really good. For this orchid, I usually water with quarter strength fertilizer every week. And when I give it water with fertilizer, I usually only maybe give it like quarter cup of water at the very base and let the wicking to do its job. And usually after soaking it for about half an hour, if I touch the very top of the media, it starts to become moist. So I really don't have to make the water level go so high as 80 or 90%. But I do give this orchid a higher water level when I'm only using just water, nothing else, to soak this orchid. And I do that at least once a month. Well, not at least, I do it only once a month to dissolve any unused fertilizer or salt buildup. Or sometimes it's just good to flush your orchid media, especially this one is potted in a mixture of bark chips and sphagnum moss. It's really beneficial because you really want to keep the media clean and also free, well, I wouldn't say free of salt buildup, but less salt buildup, because that way your roots will likely to grow better. This orchid is fragrant, and it's usually very fragrant in the morning, and then the fragrance starts to dissipate, and usually in the evening you can't really smell anything. And what I find really interesting is that for some of my friends, they say that sunlight seems to increase the fragrance, but for me, it doesn't really matter whether it's cloudy or sunny, as long as I have the windows slightly open or somehow there is ventilation, maybe with a small fan in the grow space, that the fragrance becomes stronger. So for me, I feel it has to do with probably ventilation, airflow than sunlight. But it could be a combination of both. But for me, it's just more about ventilation than sunlight. This orchid is really, really a good orchid to have in anybody's collection because it's pretty hardy. It's not finicky. It doesn't really require any kind of special care. I keep this orchid in its original bark chip sphagnum moss mix. I haven't even repotted this orchid because every time I think about repotting it, it's either growing spikes or it's, in bloom. So I haven't really had a chance, but I think pretty soon, at least, maybe this one would last for another year, and then I'll have to really give it a repot because the media could be getting old. But I keep this orchid pretty much on the drier side, so potentially this media can last longer than it looks. But we'll have to see, because this orchid may continue to be in bloom for quite some time, and by the time that they're completely done, the flowers are completely done, it may already be in a season that's not good for repotting. So we'll have to see. But so far, like I said, this orchid is really hardy, and it doesn't really require a whole lot of extra special care. So I really think that if you have any Trader Joe's nearby, try to go on the weekends, like Saturday morning. At my local Trader Joe's, at least, they get their shipment on Saturday morning. You'll have most option to pick and choose from if you go Saturday morning. And then if you're in Taiwan, try the floral market, because somebody told me that they have the same kind of orchid for sale at Jianguo Flower Market, and it's only about, I think, $5 per plant. And toward the closing, the end of the business hours on the weekends, they sometimes even go for $3 per plant, just so that they can get rid of the plants. So if you're there, make sure you go pay for a visit and see if you can find anything you like, or even this one, because I think this one is a very, very easy to grow orchid for anybody. I mean, if you're a beginner, I think this one is perfect, especially if you can get one for less than $10, right? I got it for $8.99 at Trader Joe's. For me, this is such a great, economical, inexpensive buy. And that's why I got two every single time when I see these orchids are available at Trader Joe's. I always get two. And the logic behind it is, if one of them goes down for whatever reason, I have another one as a backup to keep me entertained, to keep me happy. So I'm not being frantic. I'm not frantic about trying to find a replacement. And yes, sometimes you can find a replacement very quickly, very easily, but sometimes you can't, right? So if you can afford it, like in this case, it's such an affordable price, under $10 in the US, you should get two, just in case. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this orchid's performance this year. It's really, really doing well. It's really reliable rebloomer, and I really can't say anything bad about this orchid for its price, its color, and pattern on the flowers, as well as its sequential blooming characteristics, and the fact that it would grow area roots. I love looking at roots. So I really think that this orchid is just amazing. For the price I pay for this orchid, I think it's a great find. So I really hope that y'all can get some, you can find similar orchid or the same clone at your local Trader Joe's. I've only seen this orchid being sold at Trader Joe's. I've never seen this orchid at any other grocery store chain or any big box, Home Depot type of stores. So if you have any Trader Joe's nearby, I highly recommend checking it out when you do your groceries. If you have any questions or any comment, feel free to enter your comments in the video below. But otherwise, I will keep you posted on what I do with these orchids later in the year or beginning of next year. And hopefully they'll continue to thrive and bloom for me, so that I can make more videos on them and give you more updates. This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!